Welcome to The Explainer, where we take complex digital systems and break them down so you can actually understand what's happening behind your screen. Today, we're looking at a massive, fundamental shift in how the internet works. You know how for years, third-party cookies were the primary way you were tracked online? Well, as those get phased out, Google is replacing them with a completely new post-cookie tracking ecosystem. They call it the Privacy Sandbox. And specifically, we're zeroing in on the Chrome Topics API. The core dilemma we're unpacking today is this. Is this new system a genuine upgrade for your privacy? Or is it just a brand new tracking vector built directly into your web browser? It's a pretty simple question, right? Most of us just naturally assume that once third-party cookies are completely disabled, our online actions will finally be anonymous. But what if the very tool you use to browse the web, the browser itself, actually becomes the thing categorizing your behavior? Think about it. What actually happens when the tracking moves away from external websites and gets baked right into the core of Google Chrome? Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. First, we'll cover the evolution of Chrome privacy. Second, exactly how the Topics API works. Third, the lingering privacy vulnerabilities. Fourth, how to opt out in Chrome. And fifth, we'll look at the browser isolation solution. Section 1. The evolution of Chrome privacy, from FLoC to Topics. To really understand where we are today, we have to look back at how browser-level tracking has evolved. For the past decade, the internet basically ran on legacy third-party tracking cookies. When Google announced they were finally phasing those out, their very first proposed replacement was something called FLoC, which stands for Federated Learning of Cohorts. But FLoC faced massive, and I mean massive, industry rejection from privacy advocates and competing browsers. Why? Because it grouped users into highly specific algorithmic cohorts, which essentially allowed ad networks to just reverse engineer your individual browsing history. It was a privacy nightmare. Because of that intense backlash, FLoC was completely deprecated in early 2022. And that brings us to the current year, where the Topics API is now active as the centerpiece of Chrome's Privacy Sandbox suite. When you contrast these two systems side by side, the differences are pretty stark. FLoC relied on a client-side neural network that grouped users into over 30,000 micro-cohorts, returning a highly trackable exact ID. There was literally zero differential privacy. The new Topics API scales this back significantly. It uses local Chromium machine learning to categorize you into a much smaller pool, just about 470 human-curated topics. And unlike FLoC, the Topics API actually injects a 5% random noise factor into the data. We'll get into how that gives you some plausible deniability in a minute. Section 2. How the Topics API works, right under the hood. At its foundation, the Topics API is Google's mechanism for keeping targeted advertising alive without using third-party cookies. But the absolutely crucial takeaway here is where the processing happens. The API categorizes your weekly browsing history directly within the Chromium browser itself. Your browser is no longer just a passive tool fetching web pages. It's now actively doing the profiling. Let's walk step by step through the 5-phase pipeline running locally inside your browser right now. First up is local domain classification, where Chromium maps the root domains you visit to a standardized taxonomy of interests. Then comes the weekly epoch calculation. This is where the browser tallies up your top 5 topics every 7 days and securely stores them for 3 weeks. Step 3 is noise injection, which is super important, so we'll look at that closely next. After that, we have topic distribution, where websites can actually request your topics via a JavaScript API or HTTP headers. And finally, caller-scoped filtering. This just ensures an ad network only receives a specific topic if it has previously seen you on a website related to that exact topic within the last 3 weeks. I mentioned a standardized taxonomy of interests back in step 1. Well, Chromium maps your visited host names to roughly 470 predefined topics created by the Interactive Advertising Bureau, or IAB. So for example, if you're reading personal finance news, the browser might map you to the finance/investing topic. Now, Google intentionally leaves out sensitive categories from this official list of 470, so things like medical conditions, religious beliefs, and sadly, excessive cat video watching are completely left off to help protect user privacy. And this brilliantly illustrates step 3, the differential privacy mechanism. When a website requests your topics, there is a 95% chance your browser hands over your actual calculated interest. But there's a 5% chance it just throws a total curveball and returns a completely random topic, pulled from that entire 470-item list. This random noise injection is specifically designed to prevent deterministic tracking. It essentially gives you plausible deniability because no one can be 100% sure if a topic is really you or just the noise. Section 3. Lingering privacy vulnerabilities and why it still tracks you. Okay, so despite the safeguards we just talked about, some pretty major structural flaws still remain. First off, trackers can absolutely combine your newly calculated topics with existing signals, like your screen resolution, to expand your digital fingerprint. From there, they can use secondary inference to map seemingly harmless topics right back to sensitive personal attributes. And think about this. What if your topics suddenly shift drastically over a 3-week window? That can actually expose major life events in real time. Finally, regulatory bodies have heavily criticized this framework, pointing out that it just consolidates Google's ad monopoly. After all, they now control both the world's most used browser and the largest ad exchange. This quote from the source text really hits the nail on the head. It says, "It fundamentalizes the browser as an active participant in user advertising profiling, rather than a neutral document viewer." We are witnessing a massive philosophical shift in web architecture here. Your browser is no longer neutral. It is essentially acting as your own personal advertising classifier. Section 4. Opting out in Chrome and mitigating the leak. If you're running a standard Chrome installation, you actually can restrict this local topic calculation pretty quickly. Step 1, just navigate to Chrome://settings/add privacy right in your address bar. Step 2, click on Add Topics and toggle that setting to off. And step 3, go back to the main ad privacy menu and make sure you also turn off site-suggested ads and ad measurement. That's going to block the complementary tracking features. But hold on, because we have to highlight a really important caveat here. Disabling the Topics API definitely stops your browser from calculating and reporting your interest categories. That's good. However, it leaves standard canvas fingerprinting, WebGL hardware collection, and IP geolocation tracking fully active. Simply flipping a toggle does not magically make you invisible to advanced web trackers. Section 5. The browser isolation solution and bypassing the sandbox. Because of those lingering limitations, professionals who manage multiple accounts or demand strict privacy often turn to environmental isolation. Let's compare standard Chrome with the Sendwin anti-detect architecture mentioned in the source. Standard Chrome leaves your hardware signature totally exposed, which creates extreme cross-account correlation risk. But an isolated environment like Sendwin neutralizes this. It injects unique noise per profile, ensuring your Topics API is entirely spoofed or isolated, which results in zero cross-account linking. To bypass the Topics API entirely, platforms like Sendwin utilize fully containerized independent Chromium instances. This means every single profile receives its own unique canvas noise and WebGL parameters. Because of this, the browser literally can't build a cohesive identity for you. On top of that, it supports native automation for tools like Puppeteer and Playwright, which means developers can scale up their web workflows without ever triggering those fingerprint alarms we discussed earlier. Depending on what your specific workflow demands, these isolated environments can be deployed in 2 main ways. First, there's the desktop app, which allows users to run hundreds of local, completely containerized profiles directly on their own machine. Conversely, you have cloud sessions. This provides instant access to containerized browser states from anywhere on the world via secure cloud infrastructure, meaning you don't even need to install software locally to perfectly shield your hardware identity. The internet is fundamentally changing, guys. The era of the neutral web browser is officially over, and the era of the active profiling browser has begun. So as tracking moves off of third-party websites and gets embedded directly into the core of your browser itself, how will you choose to protect your digital identity? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning the systems working behind your screen. Catch you next time.